Why is my challah crust too hard or too soft? Imagine biting into a warm, fluffy challah that melts in your mouth or cracking through a golden crust that has just the right crunch. Achieving that perfect crust can sometimes feel tricky. Your challah's crust depends on how you prepare and bake the dough. If it turns out too hard, it might be because you use too much flour when kneading. When you add excess flour, the dough becomes dry and dense, leading to a tough crust after baking. Challah dough should be sticky and soft, so only lightly dust your surface with flour and avoid overflouring. Baking at too high a temperature can also cause a hard crust. If the oven is too hot, the outside browns or hardens quickly before the inside is fully baked. This results in a crust that feels tough while the center remains undercooked. Using whole wheat flour or flours with more bran can contribute to firmer crust because bran absorbs more water and makes the dough tougher if not balanced with enough liquids. Speaking of liquids, if your dough is too dry or not enough oil or water is added, the crust can become hard. Adding a little more oil or water during kneading helps keep the crust tender. On the other hand, if your crust is too soft, it might be because there is too much moisture in the dough. A very wet or sticky dough will produce a softer, sometimes gummy crust. In this case, adding more flour during kneading can help balance things out. Underbaking or baking at too low a temperature can also cause a soft crust. If you take the challah out before it has fully browned and set, the crust will stay soft and may feel doughy. Proper rising is essential too. Challah contains sugar, eggs, and oil, which slow yeast activity. If the dough hasn't risen enough, the crust won't develop properly and can be soft or dense. Covering the challah during baking to prevent overbrowning can sometimes keep the crust softer. But if you cover it too early or for too long, it might prevent the crust from crisping up. To get the best results, know your oven. Use an oven thermometer to check if it runs hot or cold and adjust your baking time and temperature accordingly. Knead the dough until it is smooth and elastic, then let it rise fully. This helps develop gluten, which influences the crust's texture. Using oil in the dough keeps the crust tender and moist. If your dough feels stiff or dry, adding a bit more oil can help. Always check the dough's feel rather than just measuring ingredients. Humidity, temperature, and altitude affect how much water and flour you need. Remember, baking challah is also about the experience and tradition. Involving children in observing dough texture and rising times can turn baking into a meaningful family activity. Patience and attention to these details will help you create a challah with a crust that is just right, crisp but tender, golden but not too hard.